Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of the Your Relationship Workbench series. I'm your host, Geoff Laughton, and you can learn more about me at yourrelationshiparchitect.com. If you're here for the first time, watching this for the first time, this is a free series of videos I've been doing as a relationship coach for the last 25 years, wanting to just be able to share what I'm learning and suggestions I have to offer for how to make the most of this quarantine time to improve your relationship with your no matter what. And if you're single, everything I'm sharing can be useful beyond a certain age. So that topic took me a little bit by surprise, and I was delighted. So before I really go into that at all, I want to just say that if you're watching live, please feel free to, if you're on Zoom, then click on the chat box at the bottom and you can leave questions or comments. And I'm happy to be in a dialogue with people. And if you're watching on Facebook, then leave a comment in the comments box or questions, and I'll be checking those in about 15-20 minutes, and I'll be happy to answer any that come in. So let me just get that going. Okay, great. All right. So I want to say that right off the bat, I am not a sex therapist. I'm not a sexual counselor. I'm just like the majority of people. I have sex. I like it. I've been doing it quite a while. So I think, in that respect, I'm really just here as largely a lay person of a certain age, clearly, but also because have been working with couples a long time of various ages, then obviously someone's intimate life, a relationship's intimate life, is a really, really important and I'd say frequent topic. So I wanted to just share some things that I've noticed, combined with a few things that I've learned over the years. So in the context of the person who emailed me asking me to talk about this in the first place, if I remember their email correctly, they were bringing up the point that the way that things can change with one's sex life as you get older, that could really potentially or does undermine a relationship. And if you're older and you're sexual, then and single, then how does that all work? So the first thing that I want to assert is that if you are in a relationship and you are older, then, and you're finding that sex is not something you want as much, or maybe you don't want it at all anymore, it's clearly, while there can be physiological aspects of that, one thing that I want you to know is all my experience over the years is that when sex goes bad, that's just a symptom. That's not the actual problem. So if your sex life is waning or has just done what happens with a lot of couples who are letting the entire relationship stagnate, then you've got deeper issues that you want to be looking at. So if you're single and looking for a relationship, when you meet somebody that you're attracted to that's older, and let's just say older is like 50 and up, okay? So if you have a physical attraction to somebody that you're getting to know or dating, then that's equally an indication that there's a heart compatibility that's probably there. And if you nurture that and try your best not to get in your head about sex and how that's going to be and can I still do it well, et cetera, whatever wild and crazy thoughts can enter people's minds. If you're cultivating the emotional intimacy and cultivating the mental intimacy, then the physical intimacy is going to follow. And, with younger people, one of my biggest pieces of advice that is really no different if you're older and you're dating, then basically don't rush sex. I'm not a prude. None of this is about morality or anything like that. It's just that, I think the sex is better, particularly if you're older. The sex is better when you've had a lot of emotional and mental connection that essentially serves as its own flavor of foreplay. And also, sex can create a false intimacy. It's a biological attraction, that's for sure. But the biology can work to a large extent independent of the deeper emotional intimacy that takes really talking to people for a while and spending time together in a variety of circumstances and situations and seeing how that attraction is. So don't rush it. From what I've read recently, the 50 to 80 age group is still extremely interested in being sexual. They're wanting to know more. They're wanting to keep that part alive in their relationships. So, first of all, know that being old is not the kiss of death for your sex life. Not chronologically. But if you get old up here, that can be a definite buzzkill on your sex life. So one of the things that I think people need to take into account when you're getting older is the fact that there are physical changes. There are hormonal changes. There are medications that some older people are required to take for various conditions like diabetes, like blood pressure medication, other things like that, or actually antidepressants if you're dealing with depression or bipolar disorder and you're taking antidepressants, and with bipolar often you're taking a mix of medications. It's well known that one of the side effects of a lot of antidepressants is libido reduction. If not, it kills your libido overall. So one thing I want to interject here is that the best thing to do if you're noticing shifts in your libido, in your ability to be lubricated if you're a woman, or erectile dysfunction issues that come up, and they do, then first thing, go talk to your doctor. When I was struggling with that, I went to a integrative medicine functional medicine doc. And in looking at the entire endocrine system, and I happen to be a type 2 diabetic, and so I learned all kinds of things around, that go way beyond the arm bone connected to the shoulder bone. You know, there is a lot of complex biochemistry involved. And when you have a condition like diabetes, for example, it's not a death sentence, but there are things that can be done with supplements and also with exercise. Lots of things that are in your power to do if you get good guidance to be able to help your sexual health get caught up with your growing physical health. If your physical health is deteriorating, if you become, a chronic couch potato, which, if you're not happening to work right now, if you've lost your job during the pandemic or you've been furloughed, it can be easy to allow all the mental stress, the emotional stress to, really take you down and out. And other videos in this series talk about different elements of that. What I want to say now, though, as it relates to sexuality, is that if you're older, it's more important than ever that you be working on your emotional hygiene and that you're working on keeping your body active and that you're working on wellness, eating well, working out regularly, having practices, whether you're working or not. They all become valuable and vital. So go to a doctor first if you're noticing a sudden change in physiological sexual response. If you've typically been very orgasmic and you're not, it might be a physical thing. Then on the other side, if you're noticing sudden changes, then on an intellectual level, take a look and see when did that start. If you've had a pretty good sex life together and it's changed, keeping in mind again, age hampers it, but it doesn't stop it. So go back to when it began changing. And odds are, if you look at when that was, and if you can remember what was going on in your life and in your relationship, odds are there might have been a big upset or a series of little upsets, and they never got dealt with. And so in the back of your mind, you were hurt and pissed off, and you just started taking yourself away. That's probably going to be at least a big chunk of what's going on. So you can look there. And if you're struggling there, then you can certainly be helped by talking to somebody like me or a sex therapist. They're pretty well qualified to deal with all aspects of sexual dysfunction or sexual disconnection. I also, in no predetermined order, I want to point out one other thing. One of the physiological elements that happens with sexual response at any age is really, it involves this. I think I mentioned when Joanna Shakti and I did our episode together about sex, I mentioned an old quote I remember back from the 70s, which was that the biggest sex organ we have is our brain. And then the second biggest sex organ is our skin. So imagine the kind of intimacy that could be generated through more emotional connection, talking to each other, but also, particularly for the men out there, that you're looking at how you be creative and how do you, if you're a creature of habit, and you're kind of living your life one repetitive habit after another, well, that means that your sex life is also one repetitive habit after another. Certainly have talked to my share of women who talk about their husband like, well, at minute 2, he rubs this, at minute 4, he touches that, and then by minute 8, he's done, and then that's that. And I really come to see that, barring a physiological issue, that is just simply laziness. You've gotten lazy. And so what I want to say, pardon me, and I'm going to mute you. One second, everybody. There we go. Okay. Okay. What I was saying is that I don't really believe that sex goes bad on an emotional level unless, again, other things are going wrong. But both partners need to generate a great sex life. I don't care how old you are. I mean, if you're anything like me, in teens and 20s, it didn't take a whole lot to generate sexual interest or an erection for me. It was easy. But as you get older and you are dealing with physiological changes that happen in men and women with libido, with hormones, hormonal things happen. No shame in being older and needing this hormone or that, whether you're a man or a woman. But I can't understate the value of really moving to taking aging as an opportunity to combine all of the ways that you come to know your partner if you've been with them a long time. All of the things you know about them is a double-edged sword. They could be used to keep you in a rut, or they could be used to know your partner well enough that you could take some calculated risks at how you're going to seduce them. How are you going to turn them on that's different than the way you're used to doing? Are you romancing your partner at all regularly with touch, just even touching an arm, just walking by your partner and doing that, or coming up behind them and just hugging them? Little things like that, even an eye gaze for 30 seconds, 10 seconds. When you do that, when my wife looks at me as we're passing between, work engagements here at the house, and she stops and she looks at me, oh my God, I melt. Seconds. Teasing each other, leaving love notes for each other, leaving what my grandmother used to call mash notes, only make them sexually provocative. How are you keeping yourself vital and translate that into being more creative? I remember there's a very well-known sexual therapist named Esther Perel, and relationship therapist. And I watched a video of hers a while back, and she said, ideally, foreplay begins a few minutes after you've had your last orgasm with your partner. Think about that. Foreplay begins shortly after you've just had sex. So that really, that pulls on our power of imagination. So if you're kind of hard pressed to find any, then the other thing to do is go online and read up on the things that are going on. Reach out again to either a sex therapist or a sex coach. Plenty of them around. Joanna Shakti is a really, really good one. So get professional help if you need it. But in these times where that might be a bit challenging to do economically, then I really recommend that you find Esther Perel, Perel, and look her up. Watch some of her YouTube videos. Watch her TED Talks. There's a lot of free resources out there available. Lastly, I'm going to say probably one of the most important things to keep sex vital as you get older is to remember that sex, at least to us old schoolers, sex is an emotional connection. We crave that as long as we're alive, just like we crave touch. And that's something that's really uncharacteristically challenging with quarantine. So taking all that into account, people want to be connected. If sex is lagging, then look for where are you emotionally disconnected from you first. It won't be about your partner. If I don't want to have sex with my wife, it's almost always my thing. So look at what's up with you. And when you think you have an idea about what might be up with you, talk to your partner. Share. That in and of itself can be an intimate act. So I think that's all I got for right now. If you have questions, let me check the Facebook feed. No questions at the moment. So if other questions emerge, if you are watching this video as a replay, feel free to, if you're on Facebook, messenger me questions or comments. If you're not on Facebook and you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, then feel free to email me at Geoff, Geoff, at yourrelationshiparchitect.com. If I missed some things that you've discovered that have helped your sex life as an older person, please share them with me. Share them in the group. This is a private group. And nobody would have come on here to join the group if it wasn't for the fact that they were interested in learning about relationship stuff. So please, if I've said anything that is, incorrect, or you've got other ideas, people are looking, people are wanting that. So there you go. That's it about sex for now. I don't have any questions coming up on Facebook or anywhere else. Okay. Nina, Aaron, Joye, welcome. Thank you for watching. So I have 2 episodes left of this series. So I'm going to close with an invitation to any of you that are watching. What's the topic? If you're in the group, look at some of the other videos that you might not have seen or the descriptions of them. What do you want me to talk about over these next 2 live broadcasts? I've got topics in my mind, but I'd love to be, the whole idea behind this was to serve the people that are tuned into my stuff that are struggling in any way during this pandemic, more so than usual, perhaps. So please comment, email me, Facebook Messenger me, all the different ways to get in touch with me. And if you've got a topic you want me to cover to wrap this series up, I'd love to hear it, because I'm really here for you. So please stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy. Stay in until it's safe not to. And when you are going out, just be careful. All right, everybody. Take care of yourself. See you next time. Be well.